Hello, I'm Beth Britton. I support Dementia Community with their communications work. Welcome and thank you for joining us for our first October webinar. Before we get into the topic for today, I just wanted to briefly explain a bit more about Dementia Community. Dementia Community is a charitable community benefit society, a membership cooperative that provides learning and networking opportunities for the dementia care community. We are an independent voice and inclusive organisation aiming to help all of our members to feel connected, informed, inspired, empowered, purposeful and engaged in co-produced changes that improve everyone's experiences of dementia, both in care and in wider society. This webinar is just one example of the many ways in which we do this. Community members own a £1 community share in Dementia Community, and membership is open to everyone. So if you aren't already a member, do join us. You can use the QR code on your screen or the link that will be in the chat shortly to visit our membership page. If you're having any difficulties in joining Dementia Community, please do message me and I will aim to help. Now, one of the benefits of being a Dementia Community member is a discount to our in-person events, which include our flagship UK Dementia Congress, now in its 19th year and being held in Manchester on the 17th and 18th of November. Early bird tickets end this Friday, the 10th of October, so do grab yours. The programme is fantastic and not to be missed. Do scan the QR code or follow the link that will be in the chat. I'd also like to highlight a new initiative that we have begun. It's the editor's pick from the Journal of Dementia Care. This is a free article chosen monthly by the Journal of Dementia Care editor, shared to give you a taste of the content of the journal. Please use the QR code on the screen or the link that will go into the chat to read the article. Remember, if you are a member of Dementia Community, one of your benefits is a 25% discount on a subscription to JDC. So if you enjoy the editor's pick, do consider subscribing. We also have 2 free special issues of JDC available: Equality, Diversity and Inclusion, a special issue, and Celebrating the Arts in Dementia Care. Again, please use the QR code on the screen or the links in the chat to read these issues. We will also pop an email address in the chat for you if you would like to request a hard copy of either of these special issues. Please note that aside from the special issues, JDC is a digital only publication. So let's get on to the topic for today's webinar. So click, swipe, smile, assistive technology or tech in action. I will introduce you to our speakers shortly, but just some brief housekeeping first. We are recording this webinar, so if you don't want your face on the recording, please do not activate your camera. Please use the chat for your questions. We will have a Q&A after we've heard from our presenters, and we will be keeping an eye on the chat. Afterwards, the recording of this webinar will go onto our YouTube channel, Dementia Community. So let's get started then. So our speakers for today from the Three Nations Dementia Working Group, we have Pete Middleton and Marilyn Williams. And from the Alzheimer's Society, Neda Ehtemam, who is a senior innovator. Now, welcome to you all and thank you so much for joining us. I'm really looking forward to this because we had Three Nations with us last year and you guys were fantastic. So we're really delighted to have you back. Now, I know that before we hear from you, you're really interested in the views of our audience. So I want everyone to try and find their chat box. Hopefully they can find it. It's normally along the bottom of your screen. And to answer a question for us, what do you think of when you hear the words assistive technology? What do you think of when you hear the words assistive technology? So please pop your answer in the chat. I'm going to monitor the chat and see what you guys are saying, and then I'm going to introduce you to our fantastic participants. So let me just have a look in the chat. So what have we got? Lots and lots of fabulous links. Thank you so much for my tech support for today. So Diane says life made easier. Someone else says safety. Someone else says the future. Another participant, telecare. community alarm service and calendar clocks, devices that make ADLs easier, telecare equipment, items that assist you in your daily living, equipment to help support someone with daily tasks, technology to help people overcome daily challenges, ways a person with dementia can find digital forms of support. There's a lot of these, as you might have gathered. Help is at hand. That sounds like a bit of a slogan, doesn't it? Technology to help you function and be more independent. Walking and bathing aids, memory aids and prompts. Gadgets, open door alarms, sensors, independent living, mitigating safety and risk, aids to support daily living, something electronic to support the activities of daily living, including phones and iPads, another one for gadgets, quite a few that I've now seen already. Technology meant someone's mentioned Alexa, mine will probably chirp up in a moment. Assistants, tech that helps a person to live independently, smartphone apps. It goes on and on, guys. We've got a really engaged audience today. So let me go to you guys first and let's hear from you. So I was going to first of all invite Marilyn to share your experiences around technology. So over to you, Marilyn. Oh, I need to get you off mute, ideally.
Yeah, hello at last. Hello there, and good afternoon to everybody on this lovely, very warm October day. Yes, I use a bit of modern technology. I have a dementia clock. I bought it almost as soon as I was diagnosed with dementia, which was 2016. So it can remind me, program it yourself. For instance, I take medication twice a day. So at the hour I choose, there's a reminder comes up, my voice comes on. I said, time to take your tablets twice. And then usually I remember to take them. So that's my daily aide-memoire. And I had to say the word quietly because she'll ask questions. Alexa, did you all hear that? Because she picks up on everything that I say. And so I use that to remind me when I put my washing in the communal laundry that I've got 35 minutes before I need to go and fish it out of the washing machine and, either put it on my washing line, which I prefer to do, or into the tumble dryer, which I'm loath to do. And then it tells me that it's ready and get on with it and blah, blah, blah. I also have a very good alarm clock. And that's a Lenovo one, which is a Google-inspired alarm clock. So I can set my alarms, I can ask what the weather is, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, and with Alexa, I also ask for the news, Radio 4 or whatever I fancy listening to. And so if I want some uplifting music, I ask for things like the Hallelujah chorus from Messiah or something like that, and away it goes. So yeah, it's good for lots of things, Alexa is. Yeah, so that's really, in a nutshell, what I use modern technology for. I have a smartwatch. Yes, it drives me mad at times, but all things technological do, particularly printers. I could kick mine round the garden some days. But, there we go. That's another tale. So yes, that's about all I can tell you about assistive technology, but I'm interested to find out more. And I'd be interested to find out if my clock, my dementia clock, has been superseded by something better because it gains time. And so every so often I have to work out how to reset it in order that it says an appropriate time rather than the real time. Real time rather than what it thinks it is. It gains about 3 minutes a week. So currently it's 14:28, and I know it isn't because it's 14:12.
Yes, it is gaining time. That's a very naughty clock. Before
It
I go
is.
to Pete, I'm interested to know if you had any tech you've had and you really didn't get on with it. You just really didn't like it.
No, I don't think I have. I would love more tech, but the trouble is, it's all so darned expensive. I would like one of those wonderful screens that you could put on your wall that gives you, at a moment's notice, your calendar in front of you for what you've got going on and this sort of thing. But it's far too expensive for my budget. Mm.
One of the challenges, isn't it? Right, thank
Mm.
you so much. We're definitely going to come back to you for some more reflections and thoughts as we go through the webinar today. I'm now going to ask Pete if you could share some of your thoughts and experiences. Now, we were going to be joined by another colleague of yours today, weren't we? Who was going to talk to us about, I think, sat navs and watches. So it's kind of all on you, Pete, now for you to share some of that stuff. And then I know you want to talk about AI as well. So over to you.
Yes, thank you, Beth. Hi, everybody. There's some great comments in the chat, I notice. And, you know, even if we had the whole day with you, we wouldn't be able to cover the whole spectrum of assistive technology, would we? And I guess at different stages of our journey, we should be looking for different solutions to help us. I know that Eamon sadly couldn't be with us today, but he was going to talk a little bit about assistive tech when you're out and about. For instance, sat navs and smartwatches too, that enable us to be independent when we're away from home. You know, a sat nav is a very useful thing if you still drive and you live with dementia. And that's me. Without my sat nav, I couldn't drive. And those audible directions, as well as the reassuring map, and to know not just where I turn at the next roundabout, but where I'm going to turn at the roundabout after that. All of those things help to keep me safe on the road because they mitigate the problems caused by my lack of short-term memory. I don't need to remember that I've got to turn right at the next stop. If I'm unsure, then I just got to quickly check my sat nav and I know. And also built into my smartwatch is GPS. So my family always know where I am. And for them, that's a very comforting thing. And they can send me little reminders and things like that while I'm out and about. So technology has its place not just in the home, but when we're out in the community, and that helps to keep us independent, which is good for the soul. But really, my main topic today was to talk about how artificial intelligence, AI, is revolutionizing what we can do with assistive technology. Now, before all this technology, this new stuff, the simplest things became huge obstacles sometimes. Did I take my pills this morning? Where did I put my keys? Why did I go into the kitchen? And you feel a constant cold anxiety, you know, because you know you're forgetting things that matter or that you might be. You know you're putting yourself, perhaps, or your family at risk by forgetting to do something. And that's why the conversation about artificial intelligence, about AI in assistive technology is so vital. It's not just about fancy gadgets or futuristic ideas. For people like me, it isn't a novelty, it's a lifeline. We talk a lot about the technical side of AI, but I want to talk about what it feels like when it works. Because it feels like having a reliable, tireless friend without the worry of burdening my missus or my children. Smart sensors, digital assistants, and monitors can get to know me through my interactions with them. They can detect changes in my mood, my speech patterns, and my routine. Take my medication, for example. I've got a smart dispenser that talks to me. It doesn't just beep, it uses AI to learn my schedule. And if I miss a dose, or if I try to open it at the wrong time, it doesn't scold me. It just gently asks, "Are you sure about that, Pete? It's not time for your blue pill yet." I prefer to take the red one. But that small intervention, that little bit of digital common sense, means the difference between being well and being very unwell. And the same goes for safety. I worry about leaving the cooker on, or maybe getting disorientated when I walk the dog. But my home system uses AI to notice patterns. If I'm usually in bed by 10, but suddenly I'm in the living room at 2 o'clock in the morning, the system can alert my daughter or a chosen healthcare professional. Now, that's not just monitoring, it's understanding when something is unusual for me. It's giving me freedom, but with a safety net. What AI is doing in the end is giving me back control. Now, dementia takes away our independence bit by bit. It makes us rely on others for things that we used to do on autopilot. But this technology, it pushes back against the fog. It handles the details that my brain can't manage reliably anymore, leaving me with precious energy and clarity to enjoy my life to the full. And it allows me to remain myself in my own home for longer. And truly, there's no greater benefit than that. So thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Oh, there's about a million questions I could ask you on that one. Starting out with, I need a sat nav too, because I haven't got a clue where I'm going if I haven't got one. So that's my first kind of thought process. But also, your house sounds very, is it very tech? It sounds very tech. I mean, how does your tech work in your house, Pete?
The tech's there when I need it. It is all connected to Google Nest, which is the heart of it. I have got an Alexa. I'll say it nice and loud to see if anybody
You're going
goes
to
off.
chime mine up. You know you are.
But I don't use it. And the reason is because it's not AI. You can ask it the same question and you'll always get the same answer. With AI, if you ask the same question 2 or 3 times, the system will say, well, if you're asking that same question 2 or 3 times, perhaps I should try answering it in a different way, because you obviously haven't understood it. That's the difference. And also, it won't keep asking me randomly if I want to hear a joke about flatulence or something ridiculous that I haven't even asked for. So I'm not a fan. But I like Google Nest because it's not AI, but it does, it just does what it's told and doesn't answer me back. And that's the heart of my home system. Everything is connected to that. And as I need more monitors, I'll get more monitors. And as I need more gadgets, I'll get more gadgets. They're not expensive, but there are many sensors now that will detect if somebody falls in the house, all sorts of things, and can alert the right people at the right time. And they can detect, for instance, if my speech starts to slur over time, or if I'm on my own. If my habits have changed, it can let healthcare professionals know that it may be that my cognitive decline is accelerating. And some people perhaps wouldn't want that. For me, I think it's a godsend, because I want to know as well, because I may not always notice these things myself, and the people around me might not always feel comfortable enough to tell me.
And Pete, just one other question from me before we get to, there's a question in the chat, and then I want to come to Neda for her sort of what's out there kind of piece that she's going to do for us around brilliant tech that's around at the moment. But I was interested in, did technology come into your house as a result of your diagnosis, or was it there before? What prompted the tech in your house?
What prompted the tech in my house is that I'm a geek and what they call an early innovator. I love new tech. I love to try and understand it and to trial it and get to know it. And so I'm on the ride, always riding on the crest of the technology wave as much as I possibly can. But that's just me. And also, if I keep a weather eye out to what's out there, I can help other people perhaps who are looking for a solution.
And you have done a lot of that. I know on Pete's social media, he does a lot of, there's some brilliant examples. You've put some stuff on YouTube, haven't you? I was looking at your guide to assistive tech yesterday. So Pete's your go-to man for all this. So it sounds like you were kind of a bit of a techie before, but obviously you're now using tech that really helps you to live independently and to live well. And then just one question from the chat before we come to Neda. What medication system do you use, Pete?
Oh, I couldn't tell you the name of it. I got it from an American website. It's I couldn't tell you the name offhand. I'm sorry. I'll look it up and maybe I can give it to you later on.
Yeah, I'm sure we can probably find a way to pop it in the notes of the YouTube recording. You get to write a little blurb, don't you, there? So I think it'd be very interesting to know. I love the fact it tells you know what you're doing, why you're taking this now. You shouldn't be sure you want to do that. I think that sounds great. Thank you very much, Pete. Neda, could I come to you? So we really wanted to hear from you. What's out there and how to get it in terms of technology?
Hi, thank you for having me. So my name's Neda, and I'm a senior innovator at Alzheimer Society. So my role is to support people and companies who are creating hopefully useful products for people living with dementia. So today I'm going to give you, as you said, an overview about assistive technology, what's out there, and what's coming up. So assistive technology is any tool or device or system that uses technology to help people carry out everyday activities. It's usually designed to help people to stay independent, keep safe, or stay active. Often it supports daily life through making communication easier or helping someone to do their daily tasks independently or stay safe in or around the home. So it can range from a very simple tool like a reminder app on your phone through to more advanced systems like smart home monitoring devices. And it can be used in lots of different ways. So some assistive technology is developed to be just that, and some specifically for people living with dementia. Whereas sometimes general technology can become assistive by the way that it's used. For example, setting reminders on Alexa to help you check if you turn the stove off, or to manage your appointments. That's what Pete's just and Marilyn have touched on a few. So potential assistive technologies are things like the electronic pill box that can remind you to take your medication, or a smart home system that can turn the lights on and off or remind you to check the washing machine. Things like door sensors can be useful to some people, and can alert a trusted person if someone's left the home unexpectedly. When we talk about assistive technology, we tend to group it into a few broad categories. So things that support memory and daily activities, often designed for people living with dementia, include things like the clocks, calendars, medication boxes, and locator devices. They're especially useful for helping people to stay organized and independent, manage day-to-day activities. There's a lot of assistive technology that's focused around keeping safe at home. So devices that reduce risk, like automatic lights that turn on so you can see where you're going, or sensors that can turn off the gas or water or an appliance if they're left on. You've probably seen the pendants that you can wear, and if you fall over, you can press a button and it can tell someone to come and help. Another category we look at is socializing and connecting. How do we stay in touch with people when we don't see them all the time? So things like communication aids and video calling apps are really helpful for that. And then there's the health and well-being side. That often these can be wearable devices and smartwatches that can track activity and monitor heart rate and health symptoms. So technology is growing. As he touched on, as spoke about as well, was the use of AI and how technology can learn from a person. This is really good. As dementia progresses, technology can adapt and step in to provide more support where needed. That said, there's a lot out there, and choosing the right technology for the person isn't always easy. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. Although technology is changing and it can be adapted to your situation, it's important to look at different devices for different stages of dementia and potentially different types of dementia as well. The main thing is that the technology suits the person who's using it. So always focusing on the needs, the preference, and your comfort level. So if you're living with dementia, it's trying it out and making sure that it works for you. If you're caring for someone, it's thinking about why you want to use it and what would be genuinely helpful in your situation. and always getting consent from anyone who's using it. So to keep in mind when choosing our comfort and ease of use, the more you feel comfortable using something, the more likely you are to keep using it. That said, support and training is often available, so sometimes just a bit of practice and guidance will make all the difference, and having some time to get used to something. So maybe trialing it for a week or two and then seeing if it's actually useful or not. And always making sure that the technology fits into your life and not the other way around. So if it's becoming a burden to keep it updated and things like that, it might not be the right choice. So once you've chosen it, where do you get it? There's lots of places online that have assistive technology, and sometimes your local authority might even recommend it during a care needs assessment or through an occupational therapist. Charities such as Alzheimer Society can point you in the direction of helpful products through members of staff or through the online shop as well. Generally, you can buy anything online. It's a wide choice, so it's best to research, check reviews, and seek advice before buying. Speaking to other people who've used it is usually the best and the best thing to do. And as Marilyn mentioned before as well, the cost is an important factor. You know, something like a phone app can be free or low cost once you have the phone. But it's always important to check if there's a subscription fee or a monthly cost that comes with that. And then things get more expensive and more complicated as well. But you know, a lot of technology is more accessible now, and there might even be grants available in your area that can help with costs. So it's worth knowing that you might be able to buy or rent things secondhand as well. So yeah, I've spoken a bit about how to get assistive tech and what's available at the moment. And looking to the future, there's lots of exciting ideas coming out. In the innovation team at Alzheimer Society, we work with both small startups and new businesses. So many of these are focusing on assistive technology. Now at the moment, we're seeing trends focused on personalization. So technology becoming more tailored to the individual, using things like AI. Devices can learn and adapt, so they become more useful over time. Always a massive focus on co-creation, so that the innovators are keen to keep involving people living with dementia in designing and testing their products, and most importantly, making the changes based on the feedback, which makes all the difference between whether something will be actually useful or not. At the moment, we're supporting a few assistive technologies. So we've got HydraCare, that's a small device that fits on the toilet and checks hydration levels, which alerts the user if they're becoming dehydrated, so that they can act on that before it becomes more serious. We've got New Health, who are creating a digital platform for people to use in-app assessments to keep track of their symptoms at home, and this speaks to the care teams, both clinical and their family or friends as well. And NeuroResponse we work with as well, which is an app that's designed to help detect and manage urinary tract infections at home, aiming to reduce hospital admissions. So there's these and others that are expected to come to market over the next few years, as you know, they continue to work on those. So I'll leave it there for now, and I'm open to any questions or further conversation as well.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Neda. And I have got questions, unsurprisingly. But before we get into that, let me just address some of the stuff in the chat. So Marilyn's saying it would be great if you could try before you buy the expensive gadgets. And that was one of the things I was going to pick up on, because Marilyn talked about the cost of this. And the cost can be quite phenomenal. How do people, I mean, I made a question, how do you make decisions? Because it sounds like you need to do quite a lot of your own research. It's not necessarily that everyone's going to have someone to hold your hand to help you, although obviously you mentioned some local authorities, some people might have an OT, some people might be able to talk to their local Alzheimer's society, but is there anywhere that is just a one stop? And you know, is there any option to try things? Try before you buy.
Pete, did you have your hand up?
Pete had his hand up. Yeah, I can go to Pete. If you, I don't know if you wanted to answer that. Pete, did you want to say what your experience was?
Well, yeah, just quickly. I mean, if I had a physical disability, then the council would be able to give me an assessment and sort me out with some things to keep me independent and at home. Sadly, because I don't have a physical disability, because I have a cognitive impairment, they don't know what to do. Because really, shouldn't they be setting up those sensors to keep me independent and at home for longer? Wouldn't that be saving money for the NHS and healthcare all the time I'm living on my own? You know, there's a lot of false economy going on, I think, in society. And I think we need to use our voices to change that a little bit so that these things are available at a discounted price. If it's going to keep us out of that sausage factory, the NHS, which is costing all of us taxpayers an awful lot of money.
I would entirely agree with you, Pete. And as we know from an Alzheimer's Society report of a few years ago, fixed dementia home care, 85% of people would prefer to remain at home for as long as possible if they develop dementia. And clearly, assistive technology, from what you've said, from what Marilyn said, you know, George is in the chat. Thank you, George. You agree with Pete? Absolutely. The idea that, you know, we would give people the things they need to remain independent and at home for longer. As you say, it's a false economy not to. I'm 100% with you. Let's start a campaign. Neda, what do we do about this? How do people get this stuff? Because I can see the questions are coming in the chat and people are saying, look, you know, looking online, I cannot see many of the gadgets referred to. Where can we find out about them? I've got a dementia advisor who's saying, you know, having as much information as possible would be really useful. We can certainly try and collate some links and information from what's been talked about today in conjunction with our wonderful panelists. But where do people go, Neda? What do they do? Where do they start?
Well, I agree with everything that Pete said as well, and that there isn't necessarily a one-stop shop. I can share some information afterwards, though, to help point in the right direction. I think looking online, the online shop is a good place to start because we know that those have been sort of vetted by people living with dementia.
To be clear, it's with the Alzheimer's Society online
yes,
shop.
Sorry, the Alzheimer's Society online shop. And then really, I think speaking to people in forums like this, although not always possible, but I think it's the best way to really hear from other people who are using things that are useful and share with those.
What I'm hearing from you there is the value of peer support, which I'm imagining Pete and Marilyn, as members of the Three Nations Dementia Working Group, would wholeheartedly say is incredibly useful. But we know that peer support isn't something that everyone gets access to either. Just kind of putting it out there. Pete, Marilyn, what do you think? I mean, this is what people need in order to be able to have those peer conversations. Oh, Marilyn, can you come off mute?
There are still a lot of people out there amongst the elderly who aren't technical literate, can't use internet, can't use an iPad or a smartphone or anything else. They can't access the wonderful stuff that we have got online. And I feel so sorry for people like that. And it really should be promoted far more because it can be such an easy process if you press the right buttons or you've got a family member who can help you to get online. And that's what we're lacking.
Definitely. And there have been quite a few surveys done by Age UK where they've talked about, you know, what they call digital literacy, isn't it, amongst older people is quite poor because people haven't had the support to gain those skills. I mean, how did Pete and Marilyn, how did you learn to use your stuff? I think Pete's a bit of a techie. I think he could have worked anything. But Marilyn, how have you learned to use your stuff, or have you just found it quite intuitive?
Well, I haven't found it intuitive. In fact, I was absolutely furious when my daughter bought me an Apple phone because it suited her needs better, because she could keep a track of me. And I was used to using the other sort of phone. And I find it incredibly frustrating that I can't do this, that, and the other, which I used to be able to do on my other phone quite happily. Thank you very much. So yes, and I'm very often bending Pete's ear about how can you do this and how can I do that. But it's a case of who you know. And I mean, when we meet up, you know, it'd be me bending his ear, me bringing my tablet with me and saying, how can I do this? And, you know, simple things which he finds so easy. And like the tablet, you know, we've got a thing called the tablet, haven't we, Pete? And I can't get it. I've lost it again. And you know, I think, oh, for God's sake, why? What have I done wrong? But, you know, even then, you've just got to know people. But there is an organization called abilitynet.com, which is run by BT and EE, I think. And it's a charity. And if you're stuck with a piece of kit, they will come out and help you.
That sounds like a fantastic recommendation. Hopefully somebody might pop a link in the chat for us while we're talking. AbilityNet. Sounds really handy. Thank you. Now, Pete's answered the question about the medication system a little while ago. He said it's called Pill Drill, which sounds really snazzy. And I think someone else has popped the link in the chat for us. Pete.
Yeah, just on a related topic, we were talking about how do you know what tech you can trust? Now, you know, the fire service and the police service, they have a list of tried and tested products that they recommend to people. And come on, dementia charities, let's get yourselves a list together of just that sort of tech that we tried and tested and you would endorse. Because I don't know of any, and I know it'll take a bit of upkeep and what have you, but what a wonderful thing, you know, which has an approved tick, doesn't it? Wouldn't it be nice if there was something like that we could put on certain products that we knew were tried and tested and useful assistive technology products? I think that would be really useful to all of us consumers.
Yeah, definitely. I entirely agree with you, Pete. I think that would be amazing. Now, Marilyn said in the chat, I'm going to Congress and hope to pick a few brains there. So going back to our UK Dementia Congress, Alzheimer Society are our Congress partner. Obviously, I know Pete's coming. I didn't know you were coming, Marilyn, but I'm thrilled that you are coming. So Congress is going to open this year all about technology. We're going to have two panels. The first one is going to talk about technology that people living with dementia and family carers really like, really enjoy and have used. And then the second panel is going to be a mix of professionals who work in the technology field alongside the esteemed Pete Middleton to discuss what's coming next. What actually is going to make things better for people? What can we look forward to seeing? I think we've heard some really interesting stuff today from Neda. I think the idea of clipping something onto the loo to monitor hydration sounds really good. I'm guessing there would be monitors that before I go to the loo would remind me to take a drink. They must exist if you've got people being reminded to take medication and things like that. So yeah, someone's already covered that. Good, excellent. Right, George says, on the Alzheimer Society shop, I cannot see many Nest type gadgets, mostly non-digital. So Neda, I don't know if you've got any advice on those type of gadgets, or Pete possibly, because you mentioned the Nest.
I think Nest are available more widely, potentially from online retailers. I'm not sure myself where they come from.
Pete.
Yeah, Nest is in a bit of a hiatus at the moment. Google tends to produce wonderful technology and then get bored with it and not bother to develop it. And at the moment, they're in between Google Nest 2 and the next generation of Google Nest, which will have a lot more AI in it than the current one, which actually has not a lot. It's just a hub that enables you to connect other sensors that have AI. So the next generation of Google Nest will be the one to watch out for, but that may not be available for some months yet. But the good news is you can pick up a second generation Google Nest dirt cheap if you go onto somewhere like eBay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
But other manufacturers are available.
And that's kind of the problem in a sense, isn't it? That whole sort of BBC qualifying, yes, you can get many different options. And it's almost like, what do you choose? How do you make that decision? If you're not a techie person, and I think this is gonna be my burning question of the afternoon, isn't it? Because there's not going to be, I think what I'm picking up from you guys is there is no one size fits all across the UK. No matter where I live, I can go and find out what type of technology would really work for me, and someone will walk me through that. It just doesn't exist, does it? No, that's what I'm picking up. Yeah, that's a depressing thing, isn't it, really? So very kindly, thank you. A couple of people have popped the AbilityNet website address. We also have a recommendation for the goodthingsfoundation.org. So that's one to go and look at. We have a link also from Mandy relating to the Alzheimer Society. Michael is saying, what does NEST stand for? Pete, do you know what it stands for?
Yeah, it just doesn't stand for anything. It's just Nest. Google have a habit of naming things. Their latest AI graphics generator is called Nano Banana. So don't even ask what makes Google name things the way that they do. I guess Nest is a good thing because that's something, isn't it, that keeps things together and nurtures them. So I guess that's why they've called it that. I don't think it's an acronym in that the letters stand for anything. So perhaps we could make one up if anybody's got something they want to put in the chat.
Maybe we should.
EST.
Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? So George is saying, yes, it's the gadgets that could be linked to Nest or something else that we need to find. Absolutely. And it's just this huge myriad of stuff online. If you are indeed even able to get online to look, as Marilyn's pointed out, that's not going to work for everybody either. So we've had, I've had a message here that says secure meters, beanbag care. Is a recommendation. So beanbag care enables the provision of better quality care and a more comfortable environment so that people can live in their own homes for longer, safer and with greater independence. Company focuses on tech and the ethical considerations around it. I've got another little link there for a droplet reminder, a hydration set. Thank you, Natalie. So Michael saying the acronym NEST is new to me. I can't follow the current discussion. Help. It is. It's just a myriad of stuff, isn't it? And I think this is one of the biggest problems. And how do we strip it down to something more simple for people? Because I find it difficult, and I'm not living with dementia. How much more is it when you're living with dementia, Marilyn? I mean, how do people navigate this stuff?
Yeah, with difficulty at times. I do a lot of swearing over it. Yeah.
So Carol's saying she's sorry she has to leave, but she thanks you both very much for your insight and inspiration. Sadie's saying my local council provides some free assistive technology. Local dementia advisors can refer for this equipment. I would know if their areas are offering this service. For anyone with a dementia diagnosis, I suggest contacting the Alzheimer's Society helpline and ask for local community support. I would imagine, being completely impartial, that if one phoned Dementia UK and spoke to an Admiral nurse, you'll probably get some advice around technology as well. I would hope that you would.
Yeah.
Helen's saying Nest isn't an acronym. Google Nest is part of a family of home devices, including speakers, displays, thermostats, and security products, all designed to work with a Google Assistant to provide hands-free help, control, and other connected devices and deliver entertainment and information through voice commands. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it? You've got to, and even if you get this stuff, you've got to set it up. Are the instructions easy to follow? I mean, both of you, I know, Pete, you're a techie. I know I'm asking someone who's got skills in this, but when you get something, can you set it up yourself, or do you need help to do that? How easy do you find that?
It would honestly take you less than 5 minutes. The manual is tiny. It talks you through. Once you plug it in, it just talks you through the whole setup. It's as you go. It's honestly very easy to use.
I guess it's always a YouTube video to show us as well. I mean, what do you do about setting things up, Marilyn?
I would ask my daughter, just because it's a darn sight quicker than me swearing at it and rushing around. But then she's got a busy life as well, so sometimes that's not so good. But I live in a very good place where we have 24-hour, not care as such, but if we've got a problem and that the person on duty is tech literate, they can generally sort me out with a problem. So that is good. What I was going to interrupt and say about, if I could, GPs are now almost insisting that you make your appointments online. Did you know that? And that in itself is a minefield for pensioners. So what do you do? I was supposed to have a review about my dementia this weekend. They wrote to me, which has arrived on Friday, to say this GP would be ringing me on Saturday. Right. The phone rang, my mobile. I was in the bedroom. The phone was in the lounge. By the time I'd walked from the bedroom to the lounge, the message that it had gone. They hadn't left a message. There was no number that I could ring back. And that was the first time a GP had ever consulted me about my dementia in 5 years since I've lived here in Worcester.
Oh, Marilyn.
That is appalling, isn't it?
It is terrible,
Absolutely
isn't it?
appalling.
I have to say, you're not the first person I've heard that story from. It seems to be very, very common. And somebody's agreeing in the chat and saying, yes, the triage system has changed from the 1st of October. Most GPs, however, most have said if you struggle online, still call. So yes, it's going to be really tricky for people who just don't have those skills, as we've talked about already. And then Deborah's put some links in the chat for products on Living Made Easy, monitoring systems, and she's also put a link in there for the Alzheimer Society. So we've only got about 10 minutes left, and we were going to launch a poll for you guys, because I know that you were interested to know, 3 Nations were interested to know when we were planning this webinar, which type of assistive tech would you most like? So for those of you that are on the call, do you want to just answer that? I think it's only going to let you choose one option. I don't know if it's a multiple choice or not. We're going to find out in a second. Choose the things that you think, from what we've heard today, from what Marilyn uses, what Pete uses, what Ned has talked about. Actually, what's the good stuff? What would you like to try or learn more about? I wish we could have a little repository where people could borrow these things and try them and come back and let us know, because that would be lovely. So we've got lots of people participating at the moment. Memory apps are winning the day. Just give it a little bit longer. And do continue to pop any questions you might have in the chat as well, because we will have.
While we're looking at this, Beth, we haven't even discussed the fact that assistive technology perhaps ought to include sort of apps like games that help us with our help us with our memory. You know, and
there's
may
lots of those.
cognitive decline.
I'm absolutely addicted to solitaire online. I'm a social pariah in some situations where I'm clutching my mobile, playing the game while other people are talking around me. And I also do words with friends, and I used to live in Devon, and I still challenge people every day down in Devon. And it's a bit like Scrabble. Those things do help keep your memory going. And always keep a crossword puzzle by the loo.
I love that one. And I think I recall Wendy Mitchell, the lovely Wendy Mitchell, who obviously was living with dementia and has sadly now passed away, but she loved Wordle, didn't she? Did she not do lots and lots of stuff on that? And I think there's lots of people who like games where you can connect with other people and have little competitions and things. People find that quite motivating. Would that be a sort of fair reflection of the conversations you have both had with fellow people living with dementia?
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look at this poll then. Let's see what people most want to know about. So 1 or 2 people still having a go at it, but I am going to talk about the results. So as you can see, memory apps are the #1 thing everyone, 54% of you have voted for those. We also have quite a few votes for medication reminders. calendar tools, smart speakers, GPS trackers, that's all kind of in the 20% type mark, but memory apps are up there at 54%. And then option not listed above. For anyone who's answered that, please do pop in the chat what your option not listed above was going to be, because you might inspire us all to go and look for something. Since we've discovered that there's not going to be one singular go-to person, you might have inspired us to go and look for something. So while we're having a think about that, and while we're waiting for any more questions to come in, I just wanted to ask you both for some final reflections, really. And if I could come to you first, Marilyn, on assistive technology, actually, is it about possibilities, not limitations? And what would be your advice for people living with dementia who might be watching now or on the recording on catch up?
Oh gosh, I hate these multi-stranded questions. When you've got dementia, you can't hold on to it all.
Let me start at the beginning. So, is it about possibilities, not limitations, do you think?
I think it's about possibilities. I think the thing is, when you've had a diagnosis of dementia, if you're not in the right mindset, and you really do have to have a positive mental attitude with this diagnosis and not let it beat you, you've got to work at it. And rather than sit passively in your flat and desiccate, really, you get that sort of blanket of despair overcomes you and you fall asleep. When you watch daytime TV and you fall asleep. So you've got to be very positive about things. And using assistive technology is a very positive way of communicating. And that is why I'm always on Zoom or Teams or, all these, meetings that I do. I mean, I've got another one at 3:30 with Dementia, 3 Nations. So that's 3 today I'll have done, which is brilliant. My social life has never been so busy. So yeah, I would go with that every time. So, but you've got to get the help initially if you haven't become technology able, get the assistance and then get cracking on it. That's what I would say.
And I think you've answered all of it in one brilliant little package, because that's a brilliant sort of motivator for people living with dementia who are listening. Pete, let me come to you then. Is it possibilities, not limitations? What's your view?
I'd say it's both. Dementia is a journey. We're on a journey, aren't we? And every now and then on this journey, you come across something that you can't do as well as you used to do. So always keep your eyes open and be on the lookout for those sorts of things, and then be on the lookout for something that's going to help you. And the best places I've found for that are in the dementia community. I ask people what their coping strategies are for things that they're having trouble with. And somebody would have found something that really works well for them. Now, it may not work for you, but it's certainly a good pointer. So I find that keeping my eyes open and being aware of my situation is what works for me. And so I'll use the technology when I come to need it. There have been times when I've used some of the technology for a while and found I don't need it anymore. So I'll give it away to someone else or something like that, or I'll move on to something else. But really, most of my good information that I've managed to get comes from sharing and stealing other people's good ideas.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And Neda, you must see this as possibilities because you're an innovator. But what would be your final reflections before we have a quick check on the chat?
Definitely, I do see a lot of possibilities. Not to replace care or connection, but to really support people to maintain independence, especially with technology becoming more personalised. I see a lot of possibilities there. And I think the biggest possibility is when ideas are shaped and developed with people living with dementia, feeding back at every step. And that's when we start to see the really useful, meaningful things take shape.
Definitely, I think I'd 100% agree with you, as I'm sure Marilyn, I can see Pete's nodding. I think we'd all agree with that. I love the message in the chat from Andrea. The one gadget that does everything rather than the 20 that do all individual things. That would be the perfect one. Any sign of that on the horizon, Neda?
sure someone somewhere is working on that as we speak, I hope.
Someone's working on it. George is saying it's such a common experience, your whole issue with the GP, Marilyn. So he's kind of supporting you with that. So Samantha said she chose other, as I would have dementia-friendly phones for people who've lost the ability to use a smartphone and don't want an elderly phone. People who actually just want to have a phone that is designed for a person with dementia. Anybody working on that, Neda? You know of anything on your horizons around phones?
I have seen something similar to that. I'll find it and share the link afterwards.
Brilliant, thank you. George agrees with you, Marilyn. Unsurprisingly, the lovely George. Brains have plasticity, so you can create new pathways to replace dead ones. You live much longer. Absolutely. Question from Jennifer. Can Neda speak on the future of what's coming? So you mentioned a little bit earlier on, didn't you, about some of the things that are in development that you're aware of. So we've got the Hydrocare, is it New Health, the symptoms feedback, and then another gadget around UTIs, another support system around UTIs. But anything else that you know of, Neda? Anything else we should be looking out for the future?
Yeah, there's a lot of things being developed. So, for example, early next year in March, there'll be an announcement of the winner of the Longitude Prize on Dementia. So at the moment, there's 5 finalists working on a variety of assisted technology or design to keep people living with dementia independent and at home for longer. So there's things from smart glasses that tell people about different items around the house to full home monitoring systems that learn people's routines and feedback to them and potentially their loved ones or care partners on different changes and things like that. So there's a few more examples of what's coming. But I'm also happy to have conversations outside of this as well, if anyone wants to follow up.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. How would people get hold of you, Neda? Is it the Innovation Team website? Could you pop some contact details, not your personal stuff, but something in the chat that people can access?
Sure, I'll do that now.
That'd be really helpful. Thank you so much. So we are almost at the end of today. I'm not sure we've put the world to rights, but we have. I know it's gone really quickly, Pete, hasn't it? I'm not sure we've necessarily got all the answers, but I think you've both showcased some things that really have worked for you. I think my takeaway from today would be find Pete Middleton on social media and follow him, because if he's trying it, he's probably worth going and find out if it works. I would say of the 3 nations, so it's the second time that they've very kindly come along to do a webinar for us. So my greatest of thanks to you both for that, and for your colleagues who aren't with us today but have helped to plan today. Brilliantly, Helen has popped the link in the chat. Do look out for the 3 Nations Dementia Working Group webinars, because these fabulous people, along with their colleagues, do regular webinars, and you're going to find out so much information, and you can ask more questions. We all learn more when we learn from people living with dementia. So just my biggest thank you to Marilyn, to Pete, and to Neda for your wonderful contributions today, your expertise and your time, the effort you put into planning this as well. I really appreciate it. We hope to have you back in the future, but for now, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, thank you. So I just want to signpost everyone to our next webinars. We've got a really packed program coming along for the autumn. So our remaining webinar program currently has 5 webinars available to book onto, and more will be added to our winter program soon. Just booked in our first webinar for next year as well, so it's all going to keep happening into next year as well. So do follow the link that will shortly be in the chat to reserve your place. You will have booked through Eventbrite. Do follow our Eventbrite page. That is the place to find out first and foremost whenever we pop a webinar on there. That will be the best place to find it. You'll get that notification straight to your inbox. And as I said, if you found the tech topic really interesting, do come and join us at UK Dementia Congress, because we're going to be talking about it a lot more. We've got some fabulous tech exhibitors as well, and you will be able to really explore these topics in a lot more detail. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on another of our webinars soon. Thank you.